Hi, Miss Keneva's class and Miss Kraut's class. You guys are going to be reading the story An Alligator Clock today from lesson 54 in your blue book. What do you think this story could be about? Let's read to find out. An Alligator Clock. The clockmaker had painted a clock orange. He had made the deer yellow. He had fixed the deer so that it bobbed up and down like a frog. When the clockmaker took the clock to the woman got very mad. She tossed the clock down. The clockmaker took the broken clock back to his shop. He was going to fix it again. So that's kind of a summary of what we read last time. He had just put his work bib on when his wife came in. She said, "Did you just come in?" "Yes," the clockmaker said. "I can grin." Remember, he can't hear. And he did. His wife shook her head. Then she said, "A little girl's outside. She wants to know if she can pick weeds in your garden." Now, the clockmaker's wife told him that a little girl wanted to do something. What was that? Yes, she wanted to pick weeds in the garden. Why do you think the clockmaker's wife shook her head? Yeah, probably because she had said, "Did you just come in?" And he said, "Yes, I can grin." So she's probably shaking her head because she's like, "Oh my gosh, he can't hear anything. This is so frustrating." Let's keep reading. The clockmaker said, "There are no seeds in my garden. The plants are just getting buds. They won't have seeds before the end of summer." "Not seeds," the wife said. "Weeds. The girl wants to pick weeds." "Why does she want to lick weeds?" the clockmaker asked. His wife was getting mad. She said, "I will tell her that she can pick weeds. If she does a good job, I will pay her $10. "That's fine," the clockmaker said, "but you don't have to holler." Oh my gosh. So what did he think that she had said? Yes, she was saying, okay, I'm going to give her $10 if she picks these weeds. But the clockmaker thought, instead of dollar, that his wife had said holler. Okay. How much, again, were they going to pay the girl? Yep, $10. Let's keep reading. His wife walked into the room. His wife walked from the room. Then the old clockmaker wiped his hands on his bib. "Time to go to work," he said. He grabbed the broken deer clock and began to set it on his work table, when suddenly, bam! He dropped the clock. That bent the yellow deer and made a dent in the side of the clock. And the bell did not work. It went bleep, bleep. "Oh my," the old man said. "Now I have a big job." He went to the bin. He picked up a string of beads. "Good," he said. "I can string these beads over the side of the clock. The beads will hide the dent in the side." Oh, he's sneaky. So what happened when the clockmaker started to work on the deer clock? He dropped the clock. How did the clock get damaged from the fall? It bent the little yellow deer, and then it also made a dent in the side of the clock, and the bell did not work. How did he hide the dent in the side of the clock? Yep, he strung beads over that dent to try to cover it up. Then the clockmaker looked for a good deer in his bin, but every deer was broken or bent. "Well, well," he said. The clockmaker rubbed his big bib. Then he said, "I may have a good clock under the bin." So the clockmaker looked under the bin. He came up with a dusty old clock. He said, "This clock is busted, but I think it is the clock I need." The clockmaker began to shake the dust from the clock when the clock door opened and out came an alligator. It ran across the front of the clock and bit the clockmaker's finger. So, why did the clockmaker look under the bin? He looked under the bin to find a good clock. And what did he find? A dusty old clock. What came out of this clock? The alligator. And what did the alligator do? It ran in front of the clock and then it bit the clockmaker's finger. Let's see what happens next. The clockmaker said, "Ouch, this clock doesn't have a deer in it. It has an alligator." The old man sat down and began to think. "How will I fix that deer clock?" he said to himself. Then he jumped up and said, "I've got it. I will fix the alligator so it looks like a deer. I will put antlers on it." And I'm sure that's going to work. The clockmaker reached inside the clock and grabbed the alligator. He got some yellow paint and dabbed the paint on the alligator. "Not bad," said the old clockmaker. "That alligator looks more like a deer already." So what was the clockmaker going to do to make the alligator look like a deer? Yeah, he thought if he put antlers on it, it would make it look like a deer. Okay. Now, when he painted the alligator yellow, he said, "That alligator looks more like a deer already." Why did he say that? Well, he's probably thinking that yellow looks more like a deer than the green alligator. I don't know. Most deer that I've seen have been brown, so I don't really know what he's thinking, but by this point, we already know he's not really with it. Let's read the next section. Then the clockmaker took the antlers from the broken deer and stuck them on the alligator. "Good," the clockmaker said. Then he slapped the alligator into the deer clock. He set the hands of the clock at 3 o'clock. Suddenly the bell went blub blub. At the same time, the alligator came out. It bobbed up and down like a frog. It bit the old clockmaker's finger. Then it ducked inside the clock. The old man said, "That clock looks just fine now. The woman will never know I made another deer from this clock. She will be glad to pay $11 to get this fine clock back." So the old clockmaker took the clock to the woman. Name the things the clock did at 3 o'clock. Yep. The bell went blub blub. The alligator came out. It bobbed up and down like a frog. And then it bit the clockmaker's finger again. And lastly, it ducked back inside the clock. Now, the clockmaker thinks the woman will like the clock. What do you think? Well, we'll find out next time. See you then.